Hello, Marijn. Another episode, huh?
Yeah, and to be honest, I've been looking forward to this one a lot.
Yeah, we have a bit of a special episode once again.
Yeah.
So, what do I have in my hand?
Is it a hammer?
Yes, it's a very special hammer. It's Thor's hammer, you know, Thor, the thunder god of the Norse mythology.
I saw all his movies. He's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Do you remember how the hammer is called?
Oh.
No?
I don't know, but I should tattoo it underneath my belly button as well.
You should definitely do that. It's called Mjolnir. Yeah.
Shit, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So why the hammer? So we have a bit of another special episode today. We talk a little bit about where is the gold of user adoption. So where is the ROI? Yeah. And we will start off this story with the small, or we start off the session with a small story from the Viking times.
Very cool. I like stories. Definitely Viking stories.
Yes, yeah. I know you do.
Yeah. And to be honest, I can't really tell you like Belgian stories because they all end up with us getting drunk or getting defeated or something. So I think Viking stories are way cooler.
Well, getting drunk is pretty similar there as well, and there are a lot of raids involved and other stuff. I heard a pretty cool story. I was in Oslo about last weekend. I heard a really cool story about Thor, and that he needed to dress up once as Freya to deceive a giant, and then he basically was there, and the giant wanted to marry him, or kind of the woman he was getting dressed. And then, you know, during the wedding ceremony, he kind of came out as Thor and then killed everyone. Yeah.
Now that's a cool. That's a party.
Because they stole his hammer.
Oh, never steal a man's hammer.
Never steal a man's hammer. Exactly. Today we talk a little about the return on investment on user adoption, and once again, you know, parental advisory, explicit content. So be careful about what you will hear today. And if you have a weak heart, then you basically just leave this video.
Yeah, this is not like your usual consultancy session or no. This is more like when the bar closes and everyone's really drunk, then you get to the after party, and that is where this language will be used.
Exactly. So today we have another special guest, right, Marijn?
Yep.
So maybe you can reveal yourself.
Oh, great, super. Hello. I'm Carolina. My name is Caroline, maybe. And it's super.
Your last name again. I just love it when you say that.
Kettukari.
Yes. Oh,
Kettukari. Cool. Super to be here today. Thank you for inviting me, Jussi and Marijn. And I'm a Office 365 and user adoption specialist. I work at Digital Illustrated, and it's in Finland. I work in Finland. I'm in Finland. Hello. And what I do, I like to think that I give people time to meet their clients and do their jobs more better by reducing all the unnecessary hassle that comes from poor meetings and disappearing information and non-existent document management. So cool. That's what I do. Thank you.
Cool. So Marijn, please, this time, please sit on your tongue. Not that I need to cut out everything like last time when we had a special guest. So yeah.
So last episode was actually 2 hours, but Jussi had to edit it until it's only like 30 or 40 minutes because I was just misbehaving quite bad.
So try to behave, or I hit you with my hammer in the face.
I will definitely try. Yeah.
Jussi has the hammer, right?
Yeah, I will hit you with my hammer in the face next time I see you. Okay,
All right,
hey,
Carolina. Bring it on.
enough jokes. Or no, let's start the jokes. Let's start this whole thing with the story. So where is all the gold? Episode 5, the business impact of user adoption. We would like to start this with the funny story I have learned in the ProSite training, and for that we do a little bit of a role play. So in the one hand we have Marijn as the captain and famous seaman Floki.
Oh no,
Floki.
let's not go there again.
So famous shipbuilder, yeah. And then on the other hand we have the queen of Kattegat, Lagertha, which is impersonated by Carolina. So the story goes as follows. Floki had a really cool idea for a new for a new ship design, which would make the ship much faster and stronger, and could transport many more seamen and warriors over the sea. Yeah. So you had this really cool idea, and once you went to the queen and asked for some money for that. So, you said that I would want to need that money to build a ship. So yeah, so Floki was begging for money.
Beg some money.
Please.
Please,
Yes.
give me money.
So the queen was intrigued and said, okay, dear Floki, for every hour you save with this new ship, I will gift you with 1,000 gold coins, right? So yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, 1,000 coins. That's all.
Sounds like a good business case.
Good deal.
So Floki went and borrowed 10,000 gold in the first month, and you started to build the ship and rallied all the best craftsmen to do so. So, like with every project, as we know in the IT industry as well, so building the ship lasted much longer than anticipated. So in the second month, the ship was nearly half done, and you thought, okay, I need some more money to finish the ship. And then again, in the month later, the ship is still not done. I still needed some more money. So dear Floki, went to quite a heavy debt of 19,000 gold coins. And in the times of Viking, if you were in debt, you just didn't got letters from the government. They could maybe just put the sword in your belly. Okay. So
I was thinking about breaking kneecaps, but okay, sword in the belly sounds worse.
Yeah, or getting arrows in the knee. That's what actually happens.
That's reasonable.
Exactly.
Very.
Yeah. Totally reasonable. Or you get slapped in your face by a hammer.
Yeah,
okay.
Hammered.
So, additionally to the large debt, what happened, that the ship was pretty idle in the harbor after it has been built. So you had a bit of difficulties to find crew for actually go on a raid with that ship. So the villagers were saying, what is with this new ship? How can it be faster with a smaller sail and so on? It looks really strange. We don't believe in this. And so you had a kind of a hard time to actually get your crew together. But since you're a Viking, tough Viking, you never give up, and you went and asked the gods for help, and you went evangelizing by yourself as the builder and project manager of the ship, and eventually with a lot of effort, you rallied 20 seamen for your first raid, right? So it took you a lot of effort. It took you a lot of energy to do this. So in the 5th month, Floki managed to sail to a raid with only 20 of the initially 100 men initially planned to run the ship. So the good thing is that the ship was faster than the previous boats, but only for about 4 hours. So that means, you actually made 4,000, gold coins, which you could. More
importantly, me and those 20 seamen, we could start drinking 4 hours earlier than everyone else. So that means no queue at the bar. So we would just have prime space at the bar, drinking until everyone got there.
So that actually pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Still pretty good,
Still.
but Floki was still disappointed because he knew that the design of this ship is much, 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 much better than this. So he restarted another campaign in the village. Okay? So Floki went and talked about all the riches and the honor and which every sailor would get when sailing together with Floki in the next raid. So with this additional, more profound campaign and much more marketing, Floki managed to rally 60 men. And also that due to the fact that Floki could prove, hey, actually, with only 20 crewmen, I was actually faster than the older ships. So the people were getting more trust. Okay, so on the 6th month, Floki managed to sail with 60 of the initially 100 men, and the sailors were still not fully trained. Some were rowing into the wrong direction, and they couldn't hoist the sail fast enough. But still, Floki managed to be 7 hours faster than before with only 20 men.
7,000 gold coins.
Yes. So within 2 months, the year, Floki managed to repay 11,000 gold coins of the debt, even with not being in his full capacity. So that finally woke interest of Queen Lagertha. Oh,
now I'm interested.
Yes.
Tell me more.
There is something. So what did Lagertha do then? So she single-handed recruited a crew, went to her best men, said, hey, you go now, get proper training from Floki, how to hoist the sail as fast as possible and how to row properly. Floki even brought one of his sons to sound the drum while they are sailing, so that everyone was in sync. So what happened? Now the ship fully equipped and the crew trained saved a full day of time on the next raid. So 24 hours saved. Wow.
Carolina, that sounds like good teamwork.
Exactly. So then Floki was celebrated by the entire island, and his ships dominated the oceans for many, many, many years to come. So what's the morale of the story? Any ideas?
Of the seas.
Any comments? You need a hammer, right?
You need a queen and Vikings hammer.
Exactly. So what if Floki would have been a smart captain and actually involved the queen from the beginning? From the beginning, when the shipbuilding has started, that actually when the ship is ready, that the crew would be there for 100% and 100% trained. So imagine how much money they would have made during that time, or how much money they wouldn't have lost in these 2-3 months where the ship wasn't operating on full scale. So that is basically
actually need an executive sponsor that is not just an investor, but also can rally up the troops and make sure that within the organization, the idea is supported and can be carried over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The queen is more than just a bank.
Exactly. So that's kind of the expected versus the poorly managed, difference of change management. So this is something what I have learned in the ProSci certificate. So I can highly recommend this. So basically, the whole user adoption or change management is actually speeding up that whole transition time from getting the new tools or processes in until they actually really create this return on investment. And the better the change is managed, the faster you have the return on investment. If it's really, really well, you can almost have it on day one when you release it. But as we all know, in most of the cases, it will take months or years that basically you get the return on investment of any change project really manifested.
All right.
Yeah. So something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
So how to do this? In ProSci, they have this kind of OTCAR model. OTCAR, A for awareness. So be aware of the need of change and what is the why. So why do we need this change? So why do we need those faster ships, right? Why? Yeah, because it saves time. We can go drinking earlier. We can make money with this, right? So the desire to support the change, to participate and engage. So the desire for the queen to actually early on see, hey, okay, if I really push them now to do this, then I actually can achieve these things faster. What we in the awareness figured out. And then, of course, also the knowledge how to do the change and how to implement new skills and behaviors. So, we had the old behavior before with the old boats where we had really lazy rowers, where we had, big sails which did all the work, but the boat was slow. So now we needed the knowledge to actually change that. The sailors needed to row differently, they needed to hoist the sail differently, etc., etc. And then we have the ability to implement the change, to demonstrate the performance. So one is the knowledge, and the ability is actually how you share your knowledge and actually transport the information to your users or your sailors to actually learn with this. And here you can see on the left is this triangle. So in top we have the leadership, the sponsorship, in this case Queen Lagertha. We have the project manager, which was Floki. And the change management, we had, a question mark. So Floki did it by himself. He went by himself and he didn't know really much about change management. He's a shipbuilder and a sailor, not someone who can really motivate people. So therefore, you need this third person who actually will be able to manage this. Only then when the queen stepped in and said, okay, now you 100 sailors come and do this. If you don't, then you will be beheaded in the next day. So also a form of motivation, of course. So of course you would need these three actually in sync, that you can really drive change over a longer time period. And then in the end, you have the reinforcement of change to sustain change, to build a culture and competencies around change. So for instance, as this happened then when the sailors understood, hey, this new ship design is so much better than the older one, and let's build many, many more of them, and let's actually sail much, much further. And as we all know, that the Vikings were the first ones sailing over to America. So that's the story.
Without killing everyone.
Great story. I really like this ability triangle. It's
yes.
Great.
Yes. So this Atkar model is basically used for all to kind of assess all the change in an organization. And it's not only in organization, you can do it on yourself. So for instance, if you want to achieve something, so for instance, I would like to run a half marathon, right? So I could use the Atkar model to myself, saying, okay, I'm aware of this change, why I want to do this. Do I have the desire to do this change? Do I have actually the knowledge to run a half marathon? Probably not. So I would basically need to go and learn about it, how to train it, how to have good nutrition, how to actually have the technique to run, etc. So you can use it on many levels, for yourself, for the organization, for your team, and so on. So whenever there's a change process involved. So this is it's a really interesting approach, and this is also based on science. So they have made different researches over 15 to 20 years, and they figured out the best way which drives change. And one of these Atkar model is to assess the ability and the ways how to drive change. Okay, but
all right, cool.
Enough from my end. So the business impact of user adoption. So let's give the word now to our dear guest.
Great, from Viking team to sheep.
Oh.
Yeah, actually the sheep here is Olavi. It's a she. It's a female sheep. I was herding.
Yeah, by the way.
I was herding sheep. No, sheep don't have horns.
No?
Goats do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Or if you have a very old sheep, they may grow horns.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I was herding sheep, so we have a bit of a sheep.
Sheep or sheep.
Yes, sheep photos here. Okay, but business impact of user adoption. I think this is a very important theme because mostly of Office 365 teams, projects, whatever, are still bought and taught as a technical implementation projects, but that costs money. But the business impact is maybe somewhere else, somewhere where we can actually save money or have real business cases for the organization. Because it's not, it's Office 365, it's not just like how we have better meetings with teams. It's also how we can do business applications with Power Apps and also do our business more efficient with help of Office 365. Do you like the sheep?
Yes, Olavi is nice.
Olavi is great. These are two studies I like to go through with many of my clients. It's a Forbes study and a Gartner study. I think they both are like 5, 6, 7 years old, but I think the message in this is very important because actually the Forbes article is very interesting because they say that there are billions of dollars getting wasted every year because organizations train wrong stuff, train wrong people. And I think the business impact in user adoption comes that we involve the right people and train the right people. For example, Floki and the Queen. What was the Queen Latifah?
Lagertha.
Yes, that's right. Have you read these articles?
No. I don't think I'm aware of those.
Yeah. I think the Gartner article is also very interesting because most of companies I've worked with, they tend to go with this. I like this provide and pray approach. Like we provide you something and we pray, please use it. Please use this Teams tool. It's very good, I tell you. But it's very inefficient. And according to study, the provide and pray approach only produces like 10% success rate. And then again, according to Forbes, that's the wasted money that companies just throw away, basically.
Yeah, that's interesting. 10%. Yeah, that sounds very legit. I need to say. I mean, I've been on so many customer cases where this provide and pray approach is being done, and I really don't get it. Why they are doing it, or basically why they are not doing it properly. I sometimes say also in my sessions that it would be similar that if you would have a Formula One car, just put it on the street and pull someone from the street, say, hey, you use this Formula One car now and drive my next race. So this is really dangerous and very expensive.
And the Formula One car is a very good saying. Comparison.
Yeah. So what's the ROI?
Yeah. And why should you even ask what's the ROI? Because when you do you ask what's the ROI in emails or what's the ROI in intranets?
I don't know.
Yes, you do with intranets.
You do with intranets?
Yeah. So I had companies ask me like, okay, you're gonna build me a new intranet and it's gonna cost me 50,000 euros. What's the return on investment for that?
So what's your answer?
It depends.
Yeah, the best consultant answer.
No, it all has to do with the goal of the company. So what do they want to do? Do they want to have better information provisioning? Do they want to have one place where people can search and find everything? Blah blah blah. So it all depends.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the return of invest in user adoption it's difficult, I think, because it's not always about money, like directly. In the end, it may be has to do a lot of with money, but it may be better employee experience, and that's very trendy at the moment, I think.
Yeah, the whole modern workplace movement. Right?
Yeah, and that may be also difficult to measure.
Yeah. I mean, this has always been a bit the problem of being a SharePoint or internet consultant, that your ROE is indirect. That it's really hard to measure. Okay, if I now implement the internet, which costs 50,000 euros, I will have the ROI in 2 years. So how would you measure that? It's really hard. It's really hard to say. The only thing what you can measure is actually time spent in looking for, utilization, and sharing information. But on the other hand, this is also really hard to measure in a way, because it's a very subjective, let's say, measurement. That for everyone, a working day is so different, that one person saving 5 minutes would be already great, versus one person saving 1 hour would be more significant. So it's always a very personal view what productivity actually is, right? And this makes it really hard.
Yeah, and it would be like super important to have goals for your user adoption right at the beginning. Like you have goals like we have to do this project with 5 months and with 50,000 euros. But very seldom people have these goals like I want to decrease the amount of sent emails by 10% and increase the amount of Teams private messages by 10%. And I'd like to see this more.
Yeah. So it's about data, right? So data speak loud words, but it's all about how you interpret it. And actually, you said a really good point. I mean, what's your goal? You know, and you need to have a goal what you can measure. That you not say, okay, I want to have my users 20% more productive in a half a year. Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
20% more
you need
productive.
to establish baseline and a goal, and how you're going to get to that goal, and how you're going to measure that.
Yeah.
So this is very important. So yeah, I think only then you can actually really see, is there a return on investment on my investment, basically. Yeah.
And on a larger English is hard language.
Yeah, says the Finn.
Yeah, on a larger scale, I think it's also very fashionable to be like a modern workplace, that you have like these modern tools, you have Teams, you have IMAX, you have Office 365. You don't use faxes anymore. You don't use like Office 2013 anymore. And it's like many modern people don't want to come to work with companies that aren't. Marine went away.
No, sorry, I'm just dealing with some minor issues here. Okay.
Yeah. So like there are many, especially younger people who don't want to come and work in companies that don't have modern working tools.
Yeah, of course.
I heard a really cool story a few months ago from a business partner of mine who said that they had just a new developer straight from school coming in, and they had a business meeting, and the person had to do something, and he had to email something. So he was like, email? What's that again? And I heard about it, but how do I do that? Because he was so used to using WhatsApp and all the other modern technologies that email was just not that ubiquitous anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, work smarter, not harder. I really love this saying, because I use that all the time. Yeah,
That's why you have a hammer.
Exactly. If it doesn't work, hit it with a hammer, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, Bill Gates said at some point he loves lazy people because they usually come up with ideas to make things much more efficient because they are lazy.
Yep.
And
I do that.
This is exactly where also the user adoption, or let's say the business return on investment, comes into play, because with those new tools we have, you can create so many cool things which actually make work and business process much more efficient. So you can be more lazy at work, right? Or just leave earlier. Go have a beer.
Get drunk earlier. It's like in Viking stories.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like, for example, it may be like one client I had, they had this 75-step process when they had a new employee coming in. It's like if you are a supervisor, you have to remember 75 different things to do with a new employee. And that's not smart at all. No. And you can do a power up in like 3 days, 4 days. That guides the supervisor through the onboarding process. Yeah. And that's working smarter and not really harder.
75 steps, oh God. Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, work smart, not hard. Very good. It's the little things.
Yeah.
That's what I say as well. That's a different story.
But little things are big things.
That's what I always also say. But... Okay, sorry.
When you adapt, say it up.
Yeah.
Because like you see, or you said a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier. Yep. Like it may be the 10 seconds that you save for looking one document, or it might be 30 seconds you save when you have those ready templates for your emails or Teams messages or something. And if you have if you save 3 minutes per day, that's up to 2 whole working days per year. And then if you have a 10,000 employee company, that's 20,000 working days you save. Just by 3 minutes a day.
That's shitloads.
Yeah, that's not little, that's shitloads.
Boatloads, yeah.
Well, but that's exactly the point. I mean, little things make the world, and you have a big impact when changing small things and like small behavior patterns, and in a way it can have a huge impact for the organization, and you should not dismiss those. I mean, if you come and say, hey, okay, introducing this process will save in average 5 seconds a day, and most people will say 5 seconds, so what? But if you then make this calculation that, hey, how much it actually saves the whole organization over a year, then it is much, much more profound.
Yeah, because like 3 minutes per day, it's a little thing, but 20,000 working days per year, it's money, and that's the business case in that.
Yeah, 3 minutes is normal for Marijn, right?
I was thinking about those 5 seconds, like you can make that work, but 3 minutes. But work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
If those 5 second counts, then
you have your own power app for this, right?
Streamline the process.
Okay, now I'm really curious to see about the demo.
Yeah, demo. Should I maybe share my screen? Great. Now you see me?
Yes.
Great. So, Office 365 has a huge amount of data, like tons and tons of data, and I think it's very rarely being used because We have all kinds of basic reports in, for example, Office 365 Admin Center, but we have also Power BI, and we can build like tons of reports on Power BI and use that data to build our business cases and do more efficient user adoption, for example. And actually, this what I'm showing to you is our Office 365 Insights demo. It's a report that's based on Office 365 data. You can, for example, have also Azure data, Intune data, basically everything you can stash into Power BI. But I will show you.
Is this something that you're selling, or is this something that is free to use, or?
We are doing this with our customers.
Okay.
Like we don't basically sell this as a product, but it's part of our customer user adoption projects.
Oh,
maybe
cool.
I would say. Yeah. And when I talk about goals, like we use this as one of tool to like think about goals and validate how we are getting to these goals. But for example, here we have a license report, and we can see we have in our imaginary company, we have 44,000 licensed users, and then we have 800 poor guys who doesn't have a license, for example. We have the, for example, the country division. We have what kind of license packages we have. Mm-hmm. I don't have a clue what's enterprise pack and desk class pack. These are something license packages that are made up, I think, at least some of these. But I think what's the one interesting thing we do with this report is like we can take a look at the people who doesn't use their licenses. Mm-hmm. For example, in this company, they have some of users who hasn't been active like in 1 month or 6 months. They can be on vacation or parental leave or something like that. But maybe I'm interested in people who hasn't been using their licenses over 6 months or maybe never. Because there's 5,000 employees. We pay for their licenses every month, but they are not using those.
Right. Yes. Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I can.
They don't open their email and they don't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe I can see like in what country they are. I could.
Yeah, you can just minimize me there.
Yeah.
On the right hand side.
Hello. Bye bye.
Cool.
I could drill down by country, I could drill down by department, by office, for example. And for example, in here, I could make a conclusion that in Finland, they are basically just beginning to implement Office 365. So that's why they haven't been active at the moment. Maybe. So
just as a quick side note for all non-Finnish viewers, kaikki means everything.
True. Yeah. This is like Finnish and English together.
Yeah, Finnish mix.
We could also see what kind of licenses are not used actively. This would maybe be, for example, we could see, and actually our clients have saved a lot of money with this because they have, for example, allocated Power BI Pro licenses to hundreds of users, and then by seeing this report, they have seen that nobody's using those, and then they could have taken their pro licenses away from the people who don't need those.
Yeah.
So this is like a money saver. And the other interesting thing is, for example, the active teams users data. We can have SharePoint activity data, Exchange activity data, anything you can find from Azure and Office 365. But actually, these reports I use a lot with my clients. And for example, we could drill down to a certain department, and for example, choose that we did these workshops, we had these trainings for this HR department in Finland. and then we can follow during the time that has the trainings and has the workshops have an impact on the team's usage activity. And for example, we can also use it the whole other way around and see what departments or what cities aren't using Teams at all, and then target trainings to those groups only.
Cool.
So this is the hard data. For example, of course, we have to know what the data means and make decisions based on that.
Nice.
But these are the kinds of tools I like to use with my clients, and I like, what's the word? find the ROI in user adoption.
Yeah, and then if you make it insightful like this, if you make it visual, then it is much easier to actually understand what is happening.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And other interesting thing is, for example, also to compare like the amount of Teams private messages and Skype private messages. I don't have the report on here but in this demo, but that's also a very interesting thing for people to see right away, that Teams private messages go up and then the Skype messages go down, hopefully, maybe. Yeah.
Cool.
So
Hey,
that's that.
awesome demo. So let's go to the last part of the thing. So let's go back here. So what are the final words? What did we learn today? Again, have a hammer. Right? No, but I mean, it's about data. Data is one thing. Have goals. Have measurable goals.
And goals.
Yeah, measurable goals. And data helps you to visualize those. So and also that involve everyone from the beginning. I mean, we say it all the time. It's not just only involving end users, but involving the sponsor, project manager, and the change manager as soon as possible. That you actually get your staff ready from that they're ready on day one, and not only a half year or a year later.
Yeah.
So there's so much money which is lost in those if you don't make it like this.
Yeah, and there is the return of investment, and it's great to find it together with the leaders and the sponsors and the end users also.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Very
thank
cool.
you, Chris.
Very cool.
This was very insightful once again. And well, thanks for being our guest, Carolina. And
Thank you.
then, yeah, we will return with a new episode in 2-3 weeks with another guest coming up.
With a vengeance.
Yes, with vengeance. Okay, thanks a lot. And bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. It was fun to be here.
Bye.
Bye-bye.